apologizing on behalf of you to me for how you have treated me these last 2 weeks. And that apology is not accepted. Because I'm not here to be your buddy. I'm here to swallow gum, and I'm here to take names.
The good old days. It was just over a year ago that Sean Spicer left his job as White House press secretary, and his new memoir, The Briefing, recounts his time at the White House. It's out today. Just like his performance behind the podium, his book is getting mixed reviews at best. Chief White House correspondent for ABC News, Jonathan Karl, out with a scathing review in the Wall Street Journal. Quote, Mr. Spicer's book is much like his tenure as press secretary, short, littered with inaccuracies, and offering up one consistent theme: Mr. Trump can do no wrong. In case you need a refresher of Mr. Spicer's time at the podium, here you go.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
The president himself called it a ban.
I understand.
Is he confused, or are you confused?
No, I'm not confused. I think that the words that are being used to describe it are derived from what the media is calling this. Okay, you don't get to just yell out questions. We're going to raise our hand like big boys and girls. I think the president's tweets speak for themselves. You've got Russia. If the president puts Russian salad dressing on his salad tonight, somehow that's a Russian connection.
Sometimes I miss him. Kimberly Atkins, he did bring us some really stunning low points in sort of modern presidential, not just media relations, but he works for a president who calls the press the enemy of the people. He, you know, again, we talked about the behaviors of dictators. Don't believe your eyes, believe me. He stood there and said, this crowd is bigger than this crowd. Right. I mean, and I guess the big hallmark distinction between his tenure and Sarah's is he looked uncomfortable with the lies. He looked uncomfortable with the slander of the media and the disregard for a free press. Sarah's all in.
Right. So he wasn't part of this Trump machine, right? He came from the RNC. He had worked in comms in the Republican Party for a long time.
I've known him. Much
Most
of my
reporters
career.
have known him and dealt with him for a long time. So he was put into this new reality, and you could definitely see him struggle at times, knowing how uncomfortable it was to be standing in front of the press and lying to their faces, and knowing that they knew that he was lying to their faces, and it made for a difficult time. And it was interesting because he was fine as long as the president was behind him and thought he was doing a good job and thought he was getting good ratings. As soon as the president soured on him, that's when things went wrong, and that's probably why he's being effusive in his praise in his book, because he thinks that that's the one thing that he needs is the imprimatur of President Trump now.
Why is it? I'm so interested, by the way, these people get fired. They humiliate themselves when they work for the president. Right. They get fired by the president. And then they're still loyal. Him, Mike Anton, the National Security Council spokesman, they're still writing pieces defending the president. I gather in this book, Spicer presents the president as a very cunning, wonderful leader. We just don't understand him. Honestly, I really don't. I guess it's in their interest to have good terms, be on good terms with the Trump White House and the Trump world. I mean, they'll be punished if they turn against them. I don't know. I'm sort of amazed that no one speaks the truth.
It's
I mean, you talk to these people. You talk to them.
Yeah.
You talk to them privately. People who've been there and left. My question to all of them is: if I knew what you knew, if I'd been there, would I be a little bit reassured, or would I be even more worried?
They all say even more worried.
Even more worried.
Even more worried.
And then they write books that, hey, he's great, and they give interviews, and Reince Priebus, and all of them are on TV, so saying, you know, he's doing a good job. You just don't understand him. I can't understand the loyalty once they've left. I mean, don't they have some loyalty for the country?
I think that some of them, even the ones that are still there, are afraid of what will happen when they leave. Yeah. I think the ones that leave sort of romanticize the rock star status that they had at the rallies, mistaking the rallies for the country. Yes. But the rallies are Donald Trump's, 30% of the country who have the time and take the time of work to go to the rallies. So I'm with you. I don't know how they go out and function in the real world. But Jonathan Karl, who like you, was a consumer of Sean's briefings, writes this: Mr. Spicer has not been well served by the book's fact checkers and copy editors. He refers to the author of the infamous Trump dossier as Michael Steele. That's our friend, Michael Steele, who Sean should know him.
He's a busy guy.
True. This is the former chairman of the RNC, not the British ex-spy Christopher Steele. He recounts a reporter asking Mr. Obama a question at the White House press conference in 1999, a decade before Mr. Obama was elected.
The irony that a White House spokesperson for this administration can't fact check is just not lost on me. It's not lost on anyone here.
But I thought it was maybe like a subversive act by the pollster.
Right, it's like getting back at Michael in some way. But this is the other thing I think about him, and this goes to what you were saying about how these people behave afterwards. It seems like the idea is you go to the administration, you shame yourself, you go take a fellowship at Harvard or Stanford or something else like that. You try to launder yourself and then write a book and go out and promote him. But I also think, and I know this is sad to say, I'm almost nostalgic for Sean Spicer, and here's why. Because in that first couple of months, that was when we could still laugh about some of this, in a weird sort of way. I mean, you know, when you look at what was happening on SNL, it's like, gosh, this guy is ridiculous. We're now at a point where this is so serious and it's so dangerous, and you're right. Sarah Huckabee Sanders takes this completely seriously. You know, Michelle Wolf can't make jokes about her. We've recognized, like, oh my God, these people are really, really dangerous. And so, in a way, you know, his sort of shameful fall
it was
is
less sinister. It was more. It was more like he was breaking us in for the far more grave and sinister period that followed him. But they've made progress. I mean, I guess what we can't take away is he wasn't good at the lying part of the job. Right. There were other parts of the job he wasn't good at, but to his credit, he was bad at the lies. They now have a team that's very good at the lies.
Yeah, have no problem at all to lying to your face and not blinking, which is really, really extraordinary.
And Bill Shine, the former head of Fox News, is now the deputy chief of staff to the President of the United States, the guy who helped cover up Roger Ailes' pattern of behavior and other patterns of behavior at Fox News for over a decade, is now the deputy chief of staff to the President of the United States. And he's a clever guy, and I knew him
He's a clever guy, but
when I was at Fox, I didn't know what he was doing, but I mean, and he's obviously he is clever in that way, I guess you'd say.
But he sucks at his job. I mean, this is arguably, since he started, the worst period of the Trump presidency. What is he doing?
I hope you're right, but, well, he has a deep, you know, contempt for the American public. He thinks they can be bamboozled and lied to. And I do very much agree that the lying is more shameless than it was. Yeah. And that's the biggest story, isn't it? That Trump and his team are more brazen, more shameless, more unhinged from the normal, liberated from the normal guardrails than they were a year ago.
And
that's what Obama was talking about, you know, when he was giving the speech with Mandela. He's like, there used to be a time where as a politician, if you got caught, you said, all right, you caught me. He's like, these guys lie, and then they just continue lying.
They catch you, and then they blame the cops.
Exactly.
All right, we have to sneak in our last break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.